We'll go over a couple of near misses from Houston. Both of them involve forklifts, and both of them were pretty serious. And both of them, you kind of ask yourself, how does that happen? But we're going to walk through. There's actually, in Houston, Versatek's on the same piece of property that Versabar is on, and we've got quite a bit of property there. They built a bridge to cross over some pipes and stuff that was for golf carts. So it was constructed for the weight of a golf cart. Somebody passed over it with a forklift the other day. Didn't hold up too well. How in the world would the guy that's driving the forklift assess in looking at the structure that it was made for a forklift? How would somebody that was working there all that time and seeing nothing but golf carts passing understand that I shouldn't be going over it with a forklift? But he wound up going over it with a forklift. Pretty serious near miss. Understand what you're getting ready to drive on, and we deal with it over here on a daily basis. Soft ground and you know, unstable locations working with equipment. So keep an eye on that. Second incident, forklift had a load on it. They were getting ready to move the load, and the guy thought they're going to need a spotter. We talk about that quite a bit. The guy that said they're going to need a spotter was going to be the spotter for him. Pulled the golf cart right in front of the forklift. Forklift's got a load on it that you can't see over, right? That's why they need a spotter. Forklift started coming forward. The guy wasn't even out of the golf cart yet because the forklift operator didn't know he had pulled in front of him. The forks came into the golf cart, almost striking the guy in the head. So, you know, you pick the two things apart, and you know, the guy that was going to lend his services as the spotter, it's kind of his fault. These are all things that we talk about, fellas, where you park a golf cart, what's going on around there. We've had some golf carts damaged because we pulled up too close to the work. Somebody didn't know it was there. We've got equipment that spins around. We've got equipment that cuts real tight. So make sure you're paying attention where you park your golf cart. Make sure you're paying attention before you move forward on a piece of equipment. Know for damn sure that there's nothing in front of you. Get spotters when it is tight. Understand what we're dealing with, and we'll continue to be where we are right now into the second quarter of the year with no lost time. The other thing I want to talk about is the weather, and understanding how the weather warns us about things. And the other day we had quite a bit of thunder, lightning popping all around, and that's a hard call, fellas. Sometimes we got loadouts. We don't ever want to jeopardize anyone, but it's hard to time thunder and understand how far lightning is away from you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make any real difference because it can strike from miles and miles away. The crane operator, and I went back to refresh my memory, the crane operator in most cases is going to be in good shape. It's who's touching anything that's connected to the hook on the crane if the crane gets struck, but the operators in most cases is going to be all right. Watch what the weather's doing out there. Use the guidance of supervision to decide whether or not we need to be out there working in it or we need to shut things down before we get into some situation that's pretty bad. Those cranes sticking up in the air, lightning rods. So it comes up on us pretty quickly. Sometimes it lasts for a day or two. That's when we start looking at we needed to ship this out, and we get out there and we just start working because we feel like we have to. If we have to, it's going to be a lot easier to swallow than we were just out there because we wanted to be out there getting something done. So understand that lightning can kill you. We talked about lightning last year at some point or another. There's usually a static charge to the atmosphere right before it's going to strike. There's actually a photo you can look at online. Two guys snapped a picture. Their hair was standing up. I forget where they were, what state they were in. They didn't understand what was taking place, but they understood that their hair was standing up. There was a static charge there. A guy snapped their picture, and about a minute later, two people in the same location were struck by lightning, and they were both killed. So if you're out on the yard and you feel that static charge, especially if you're out in the open, the best thing to do is to get into a ball and crouch down as low as you can. Lessen the target, lessen the height. So pay attention to the weather, act accordingly. Gotta say again, fellas, good job. I was down in Sabine the early part of this week. They're getting ready to get cranked up. Doing a lot of work on the yard. Everything looks good down there. We're picking up a little bit here. I think everybody's been doing everything we need to do, and everybody's been doing it the right way. It is very much appreciated. It's going to be Easter weekend. We will probably try to get out of here early today if at all possible. Enjoy the weekend. Be careful this weekend. Learn how to bring safety home with you. You hear about all kind of accidents while we're off, trying to accomplish things while we're off. Apply the same policies and procedures to yourself when you're at home working, and you can accomplish it the same way when you're at home without the accidents. What y'all got, fellas?
Brad, some of that license, someone had that license, Cooper was standing right next to it. I watched him come all the way down the thing. He'll probably hit the ground. The first thing we did after, we pulled the crane down and second crane. Let me get off out of the step and wall.
Yeah, it can mess up all the electrical, and certainly if Cooper would have been standing next to the crane with his hand on the crane, we'd be telling a different story.
They had a coffin weight about 10 feet away that I was leaning on, and I did
felt a little something.
I felt the jolt. Felt the jolt right when Rob said, "You see that?" I didn't see it, but I felt it. You know, so it went through the grain, through the ground to that coffin weight, and I just felt a little bit. You know, and like you said, we boomed the train down and inspected that. It was all right. It didn't have no damage.
Good job.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
In Scooter, we saw lightning strike out of the clear blue sky once on yard. Storm was way over there. Nothing but blue sky and a couple puffs of white clouds over there. Some lightning came out of it.
Lightning hits the ground in the United States about 22 million times a year.
Hey, Brad, we had a hydraulic last week. Nobody was around it. And all we were doing was cracking the ramp engine kind of load or a kind of pressure. I don't think it takes very much pressure in line to crack the ramp. But it had a pinhole in it. Finally gave. And it went everywhere. Everybody was in there. We got shown pretty good. All the dust don't have to go around hydraulic lines or airlines. You know, you don't see nothing damage right then and there, nothing. You know, they have a weak spot that you don't see.
Right, you know what PJ's saying, and they were actually retracting the ram, so minimal amount of pressure through the line, but a hydraulic hose busted. So we don't ever know with any line that's got pressure in it what kind of shape it's in. So always stay clear when we're pressuring up, when the way crew's out here doing things around the test machine, around the airlines, make sure you got your whip checks. Make sure we're doing everything we can do to make sure we don't get into a problem.
Brad, I got some like that old spray man between that concrete up, like we talked about before, like you said, back up, down that week. Some kind of way both of them need to be together, man. So we can build some type of, put them curtains up or something, man. You know, they can feel them back off that stuff, man.
I think everybody that parks in the parking lot understands that we get a little bit overspray on things. What Bam is asking about is maybe getting the blast yard moved over there, and we haven't locked anything in at this point. I do think when the money's spent, wherever we decide to put it, we're going to put up the right screens. Is that the end-all, tell-all? It depends on which way the wind's blowing, but it should lessen, minimize the impact of the vehicles out there if we do it the right way. So that's in the works.
Okay, if we can pause down in that new area y'all got, make that a 5 now.
We're looking at things. We know we got issues. Anybody else?
Yeah, Brad, on the boom, when the cranes are parked, they need to make sure they don't, you know, that they're not leaning over something, not, you know, pointing towards a building or something like that. You know, just use a little strategy on replacing the boom.
Put some
Like you
thought
said,
into where
lightning
the
could hit
boom
the boom
is.
or something overnight. We don't know, you know.
We got a failure and the ball's coming down and the block's coming down. It'd be better for it to hit nothing than to go through the roof of a building. So make sure that we take that into consideration when we're shutting down the crane. Anybody else?
I just saw one thing, let's keep our personal hygiene, but a lot of people got colds.
Colds, personal hygiene, and that's important, fellas. Getting into summer, a lot easier to pass things off during the summer. Staph is real prevalent in the summertime. Sweat's a body fluid. It'll carry pathogens. So let's just watch that. Anybody else? Have a good day. Have a good weekend, fellas.